Good morning everyone. So we are discussing the carbon family. In the last part of the video, we discussed the compounds of carbon, that is carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, silicon tetrachloride, silica. Okay, now we are continuing the silicones. Silicones. Yes, what are silicones? Silicones also we call it as polysiloxanes. Polysiloxanes. How can we define the silicones? Silicones are nothing but organosilicon polymers. Organosilicon polymers having R2SiO repeating unit. Okay, so R2SiO as a repeating unit. That means R2SiO is a empirical formula for silicones. So here in the name itself, organosilicon polymers. So we can conclude that silicones are nothing but polymers having the monomeric unit of R2SiO. Next one, the empirical formula, that is R2SiO is similar to the empirical formula of ketones. So what is the functional group or empirical formula of ketones? That is R2CO. So that we can write it as RCOR. Okay, so R2SiO is similar to R2CO. So what is the suffix for the ketones? Ons. So that is why we are calling these organosilicon polymers as silicones. Okay, that is the reason why the silicones are called as silicones. Why? Because the empirical formula, that is R2SiO, is similar to the functional group of ketones, so called silicones. Come to the preparation. How can we prepare the silicones? So silicones we can prepare from R2SiCl2 or PH2SiCl2. So what are the names of these two compounds? There is a dialkyl chlorosilanes. This is a diaryl chlorosilanes. Okay, we can prepare the silicones from these compounds, but we cannot get these compounds directly in the as a precursor. We should prepare this R2SiCl2. To produce this, I am preparing this in two steps. In the first step, I am preparing R2SiCl2. How can we prepare? So let us take silicon. When silicon treated with RCl or else PHCl, okay, alkyl chloride or aryl chloride. So when we treat them with 2 moles of alkyl chloride or aryl chloride, we will get R2SiCl2 or else PH2SiCl2. Okay, any one of them we can prepare, either dialkyl silyl chloride or else diaryl silyl chloride. In the first step, we prepared the precursor that was required for the preparation of silicones. In the next step, when this dialkyl silyl chloride or dialkyl chlorosilane also, okay, we can name this in 2 ways, dialkyl chlorosilane or else dialkyl silyl chloride. Okay, when this on hydrolysis, if you hydrolyze that, if you see the structure of this, so this is the structure of dialkyl silyl chloride. When we hydrolyze this, what happened? The 2 chlorines are replaced by the OH minus, so that we are getting R2SiOH twice. So the structure of them are SiROH. Okay, so this is what is the name of this one? Dialkyl silicic acid. Dialkyl silicic acid. When 2 moles of this dialkyl silicic acid, suppose if you take 2 2 moles OH, SiOH. Okay, so this is 1 mole and 1 mole. So when you take the 2 moles of this dialkyl silicic acid, they undergo condensation. So what do you mean by the condensation? So it's nothing but the polymerization by the removal of simple molecules like ammonia, water, likewise. Here OH and hydrogen, they both will eliminate in the form of water. So dehydration. Okay, then they both joined by the interconnection of oxygen. So how you will write? OH, SiO, SiOH. Okay, likewise, 2 alkyl silicic acids are undergoing condensation and we are getting a dimer. Next, this on once again they undergo condensation with 1 more molecule. Suppose if you add 1 more OH, SiROH. So once again they undergo condensation. Okay, so likewise what happened? The polymerization will continue. Okay, likewise the polymerization can continue either in a right hand side or left hand side. So in 2 ways the polymerization will continue. So likewise in 2 steps we can prepare the silicones. Here while we are preparing this dialkyl silyl chloride or diaryl silyl chloride, there was a chances of producing monoalkyl silyl chloride, that is RSiCl3. Okay, R2SiCl2 and R3SiCl. Okay, there was a chances of producing monoalkyl chlorosilins and trialkyl chlorosilins as a byproducts along with the dialkyl chlorosilins. What is the role of this monoalkyl silyl chloride and trialkyl silyl chloride? If you take the monoalkyl silyl chloride, generally used for the preparation of cross-linked silicones. Whereas the dialkyl chlorosilins is only for linear polymerization. Either right hand side or left hand side, the polymerization will continue. So dialkyl chlorosilins are useful for what? Linear silicones. Whereas the trialkyl chlorosilins, suppose if you wind it up, if you cap this polymerization at a particular point, okay, you just treat them with trialkyl chlorosilins. Okay, why? Because suppose if you I'm just wanted to end this polymerization here. So what you do? You take chlorine here, and after hydrolysis here OH will come, and after the condensation by lasting of water the polymerization will wind up here. So trialkyl silyl chloride is useful for capping of polymerization or to end the polymerization. So these are the 3 important rules to this monoalkyl, dialkyl, trialkyl chlorosilins. Okay, next one, types of silicones. Usually there was 3 types of silicones are there. 3 types are there. The first one is linear silicones. Here the monomeric units R2SiO units are linearly polymerized. So if you see the structure of these linear silicones, RSiO, so this is example for linear silicones. Here this is the repeating unit. R2SiO is the repeating unit here. So this is likewise in linearly, if the polymerization takes place, then that silicone we call it as what? Linear silicones. Next one, and one more thing, linear silicones are produced by which alkyl silyl chloride? That is R2SiCl2, dialkyl silyl chloride. Next one, cross-linked, and one more thing, cyclic silicones. Cyclic silicones, also called ring silicones. How can we prepare the cyclic silicones? Whenever 3 or more than 3 R2SiO units are undergo cyclically polymerized. I just give you the structure, that is Si, RR, see, this is one repeating unit. Sorry, not this one. So repeating unit here is, this is one R2SiO. This is another unit. This is another unit. Total 3 units are cyclically polymerized. And the structure is like cyclic structure. That is why we are calling this as cyclic silicones. Cyclic silicones are also produced by R2SiCl2, but they should polymerize in cyclic wise. Here R2SiCl2 only, but they should polymerize in linear. Next one, third category, that is what cross-linked. Are crossed silicones. Crossed silicones structures, if you see, so likewise what happened? It forms a network-like structure. Crossed silicones are network-like silicones, and here these cross-linked silicones are prepared by RSiCl3. Okay, monoalkyl chlorosilanes. When monoalkyl chlorosilanes are undergoing hydrolysis, okay, we get 3 OHs here, and all these 3 OHs are involved in linking. So this is what cross-linked silicones. Likewise, 3 types of silicones: linear silicones, cyclic ring silicones, and third one is cross-linked silicones. Okay. Next, if you see the properties of them, properties of silicones. The first property, if you see the nature of these silicones, usually the nature of these silicones ranges from oily liquids to rubber-like solids. Okay, they are from oily liquids to rubber-like solids. How can, on what basis the nature of these silicones depends? It's based upon their linkage capacity, linking capacity, and also nature of the alkyl groups or aryl groups present on it. So because of the difference in these two, okay, they are ranging from oily liquids to rubber-like solids. Okay, so ranges from oily liquids to rubber-like solids based on type of linkage or extent of linking, and also nature of groups. Okay, next one. If you see the silicones are water repellents. They are water repellents. Water repellents are nothing but they are phobia. So why the silicones are hydrophobic? There was a reason. So if you see the structures of the silicone, there was a alkyl groups, either 1 or 2 alkyl groups are present. Because of the presence of the alkyl groups are what? Hydrophobic. So the hydrophobic nature of silicones due to, what is the reason? Due to presence of alkyl groups. Okay, due to presence of alkyl or aryl groups, the silicones are what? Water repellent or hydrophobic. Next one, the silicones are thermally more stable. Okay, thermally more stable. So that is the reason, because of their thermal stability, we are calling these silicones as high temperature polymers. So that is why we are calling them as high temperature polymers. They can be resist even to very, very high temperatures also. That is why we are calling them as high temperature polymers. And next one, the silicones are having resistance towards most of the oxidizing agents and also some chemicals. So having resistance having resistance towards oxidizing agents and also chemicals. And the silicones are generally having very high dielectric constants, So because of having high dielectric constant, we are using these silicones as an electrical and a thermal resistors. So that is why using as electrical resistance. Okay, and one more thing. These silicones are having viscosity, and the viscosity doesn't change even by the change of temperature. Okay, so the viscosity of silicones remains same and does not change by temperature. So these are few properties of silicones. So once again, silicones generally they are ranging from oily liquids to rubber-like solids. That's because of difference in their nature of the linking and also the type of the alkyl groups present on it. Next one, generally they are water repellents. That is because of the hydrophobic nature of alkyl groups surrounding on it. Next one, they are thermally more stable. Because of them, the silicones we are calling them as high temperature polymers. Next one, they are having very high resistance towards oxidizing agents and also chemicals. That is why we are using these silicones but to enamel or along with the paints to coat the surfaces of houses. So if you coat the surfaces of the houses with these silicones, what happens? That walls are having high resistance towards high temperature and also resistance towards chemicals. If there was any acid rains, these silicones will prevent them. Next one, they are having very high dielectric constants. That is the reason we are using the silicones as what? Electrical resistors. And they are having viscosity. Viscosity remains the same and it doesn't change even with the temperature. That is why silicones we are using what? To maintain very low temperature oil baths, high temperature oil baths and low temperature maintenance. So these are the some properties and the uses of silicones. Next one, I am going to start an important concept of this carbon family, that is silicates. Silicates. First of all, you should know what are silicates. So silicates are nothing but, these are the minerals. Silicates are nothing but the minerals having silicon and oxygen in the form of tetrahedral SiO4 4 units in different patterns. These tetrahedral units will link in different patterns, and that minerals we call it as what? Silicates. And if you see that, I told you silicates is an important concept. Why? Because if you take the earth crust, in the entire earth crust, 95% of the earth crust is composed of silicates and silica. So that is why. So earth crust is composed of 95% of silicates and silica. So this is about the general introduction about the silicates. Now let us see the types of silicates. Types of silicates. I told you that the tetrahedral unit, that is the SiO4 4 units, they are linking in different patterns. So based on the pattern by which the tetrahedral units are linking, okay, we are classifying the silicates into so and so types. Let us see that. So on what basis they are classifying? On the basis of linking of tetrahedral SiO4 minus 4 units. On the basis of linking of tetrahedral units, we are classifying the silicates into following. The first one is orthosilicates. Orthosilicates. Orthosilicates also we call it as nesosilicates. Nesosilicates. The second one, pyrosilicates. Pyrosilicates also we call it as sorosilicates. Sorosilicates. Next, third one, cyclic silicates. And the cyclic silicates also we call it as ring silicates. Ring silicates. Next, fourth category, inosilicates. And these inosilicates are further classifying into two types. So one is linear silicates or linear chain silicates. So the first one is chain silicates. The second one is double chain silicates. Double chain silicates. So this is the fourth category. Next one, fifth one after inosilicates, sheet silicates. Sheet silicates. The sheet silicates also we call it as phyllosilicates. Phyllosilicates. And finally, three-dimensional silicates. Also we call it as tectosilicates. Tectosilicates. So once again, the total 6 different types of silicates are there. First one orthosilicates, next pyrosilicates, next cyclic silicates, next inosilicates. Inosilicates are further classifying into two types. One is linear silicate, linear chain silicates. Next one double chain silicates. And linear chain silicates also we call it as double chain silicates we call it as amphiboles. Okay, linear chain silicates we call it as pyroxenes. Pyroxenes. So these are the other names. You just remember these are the other names also. Why? Because in the questioning they may give you the second alternate name of these silicates also. Okay, let us discuss these 6 types one by one. Okay, the first one is orthosilicates. Orthosilicates. Also we call it as what? Nesosilicates. And the general formula of these orthosilicates is very, very important. General formula of every silicate is very, very important. General formula. And the general formula of these orthosilicates is SiO4 minus 4. SiO4 minus 4. And you remember one thing about the orthosilicates. Orthosilicate is the simplest silicate among all. Okay, this is a simplest silicate. Simplest silicate. Why we are calling the simplest silicate? Why? Because this silicate having only one discrete tetrahedral unit. Okay, it's the simplest silicate having only one tetrahedral unit, that is SiO4 minus 4. It's having only one tetrahedral unit. So if you see the structure of this orthosilicate, that is silicon is at the center and tetrahedrally 4 oxygens, O minus, O minus, O minus, O minus. If we connect these 4 terminals, we get a tetrahedral structure. The same structure I am representing as silicon, I am representing with a dot. And if you see it from any one of this SiO linkage, okay, then one oxygen as sphere and other 3 as okay, so 4 oxygens as 4 spheres and the silicon as a dot. So if we connect this, so it's similar. It's same as it appears as what? Triangle. Okay, so this is also one more representation. Remember these two representations of silicates. And next, examples for orthosilicates. The first example, phenacite, and the second example, olivine. Phenacite example, formula Be2SiO4, and olivine example either FeRMg twice SiO4. So these are the chemical formulas of phenacite and olivine. So this is about the simplest silicate, that is orthosilicate. So once again, orthosilicate also we called as a nesosilicate, and its general formula is SiO4 minus 4, and actually this is the simplest silicate having only one tetrahedral unit without sharing any oxygens. All 4 oxygen atoms are free, they are not sharing with any other units, and examples are phenacite and olivine. Next, move on to the second silicate, that is what? Pyrosilicate. Pyrosilicates also we call it as what? Solosilicates, and its general chemical formula is Si2O7 minus 6. Si2O7 minus 6. How these silicates are formed? The pyrosilicates are formed by joining 2 tetrahedral units by sharing one oxygen atom at one corner. So how the pyrosilicates are formed by how many tetrahedral units? 2 tetrahedral units. So 2 tetrahedral units formed by joining 2 tetrahedral units, that is SiO4 minus 4 at by sharing one oxygen atom at one corner. Okay, that silicates we call it as what? Pyrosilicates. So they may ask you, pyrosilicates are sharing how many of oxygen atoms? One oxygen atom at one corner. So if you see the structure of this one, see SiO. So this is one tetrahedral unit. This is another tetrahedral unit, and the oxygen which was shared by 2 tetrahedral, this is a common oxygen to both tetrahedral unit. If the oxygen was shared by both, there was no charge on it. Okay, so now total how many of oxygens are there? 2 silicon atoms, Si2, and total number of oxygens 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And what is the charge over it? -1, -1, -1, -1, -1, -1. Here there was no charge. So total Si2O7 minus 6 charge is there. Okay, this is the structure of pyrosilicate. The same structure I am writing as, just see, likewise. So this is one tetrahedral unit. This is another tetrahedral unit. Just connect them. One tetrahedral unit, another tetrahedral unit. They both are sharing one oxygen atom. The same representation. The same thing we are representing this way also. So whenever you are representing a large polymer, larger silicates, if you represent in this way, it will be very easy to understand. So that is the this is what pyrosilicates. An example for the pyrosilicate is thortvitite. That is THORTVEITIT. Thortvitite, and the chemical formula, that is what? Si2O7. Scandium complex with silicate unit. So this is what? Thortvitite. So second silicate, that is pyrosilicate. Third one, that is cyclic silicates. Cyclic silicates, also we called as ring silicates, and that's the general formula is SiO3N minus 2N. So very, very important. The general formula to represent the cyclic silicates is SiO3N minus 2N. Okay, for example, if you take the beryl, total 6 SiO3 units are there. SiO3 6, overall charge is -12. Okay, in beryl, what is the anionic form? That is SiO3 6 -12. Let us see. What are cyclic silicates? In cyclic silicates, these silicates are formed by joining 3 or more than 3 tetrahedral units. So these are formed by joining 3 or more tetrahedral units, that is SiO4 -4 units. 3, minimum of 3. If there was a less than 3, there was no chance to formation of cyclic silicates. And okay, they are formed by joining 3 or more units. And how many of oxygens are shared by others? Let us see. In this cyclic silicates, each tetrahedral unit sharing 2 oxygen atoms at 2 corners with other units. How many of shared oxygens are there in cyclic units? 2 shared oxygens. So if you see the structures, I am just drawing the structures of the cyclic silicates so that you can easily understand. This is one silicate unit. This is another tetrahedral unit. This is another tetrahedral unit. How many of tetrahedral units are there? 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and each unit sharing how many of oxygens? This oxygen is shared by this unit. This oxygen is shared by this unit. So total how many of oxygens are shared with other units? This unit cell is this unit is sharing 2 oxygens. Similarly, this unit is sharing these 2 oxygens. Similarly, this unit is sharing these 2 oxygens. So every tetrahedral unit is sharing 2 oxygen atoms with other unit cells. So this is 3. Suppose if you take 6, for example, beryl, if you take beryl, let us. Okay, see that this is one tetrahedral unit. This is another one. This is another one. This is another. So this is another. And this is another. Total how many of tetrahedral units are here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and each unit is sharing how many of oxygen atom with others? Suppose if you take this tetrahedral unit, this oxygen and this oxygen was shared. Okay, so total 2 oxygen atoms are shared. So the general, this is the best example, best structure for beryl. So what is a beryl chemical formula? If you see the examples of this cyclic silicates, beryl is the best example. Beryl. What is the chemical formula for beryl? That is Be3Al2 SiO3 6. Okay, beryllium aluminum silicate is called what? Beryl. So this is the third one, that is cyclic silicates. Next, fourth one, inosilicates. What are inosilicates? Inosilicates are nothing but the silicates in which each tetrahedral unit, each unit is sharing 2 or more than 2 oxygen atom with the others. That silicates we call it as what? Inosilicates. So the silicates whose tetrahedral unit shares 2 or more oxygens with others. Okay, that silicates we call it as what? Inosilicates. And I told you inosilicates are again of two types. One is what? Chain silicates, and the second one is double chain silicates. Okay, chain silicates and double chain silicates. The remaining part of the silicates we will continue in the next part of the video. Until then, take care.